Has IB failed to adapt to India, or is India still not ready for IB?
Excellent question.
In India, the fees which IB schools have is quite a lot as compared to the fees we Indians usually pay in other schools, in CBSE boards or other boards. Isn't it not a misconception that it is only for the elite? In India, mostly people know the boards which are CBSE and ICSE. But what is IB?
Present in 160 countries with more than 6,100 schools.
Do you think rote learning happens in IB also?
The IB exams are different than many national final exams are.
Once the child has studied in IB, he or she is only supposed to go abroad. They cannot be in India. Is that true?
No, it's not. It's definitely not. And that's not something that we are encouraging or anything like that.
Do IB students need tuitions, or there is no need? CBSE or IB?
IB.
Why are the schools charging so much? Do they require a minimum infrastructure from IB that you have to make these things, then only you will get an IB certification? Do you think exams are a flawed way of measuring intelligence?
No, I think exams can be a good way of measuring intelligence. Conception is the question that IB is something that is only for those people who can.
Now, if Indian boards are only 1 or 2 periods in a week for sports, what is IB for sports? Do you think school education should be a profitable business model, or it should be a not-for-profit? If I'm a parent watching this, I'm thinking that if IB is saying that memory-based learning is not good in a way, so why are there exams at all in IB? Welcome, Mr. Olli-Pekka, to SchoolCast with Avyakt.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Very nice to have you here, because these are very interesting times. A lot of things are happening across the world, and a lot of things are happening in school education. So a lot of people already know who you are. You are a very important person in the global education industry. Can you please introduce yourself for those who don't know you?
Yes, my name is Olli-Pekka Heinonen, and I became the Minister for Education and Science in Finland 32 years ago. So quite a long time ago, and State Secretary for the Prime Minister in Finland. And after that, I was the Director General of the National Agency for Education in Finland before I was asked to join in my current position, which is the Director General of International Baccalaureate.
So it's a very interesting journey, because you've been the Education Minister of Finland. And Finland today is looked at the most ideal model of school education across the world. Everyone is talking about it. And then you've seen the lens of the Prime Minister office also. So you've seen a different lens altogether. Talking about India today, so in India, mostly people know the boards which are CBSE and ICSE. CBSE has about 30,000 schools and ICSE has about 5,000. But what is IB?
Well, IB is it's 4 educational programs which come from 3 years to 19 years of students. It's really based on supporting to create inquiring, knowledgeable, caring young people. It has a very strong approach, which we call kind of inquiry-based, kind of feeding that curiosity in young people for them to be capable of asking the right questions and being open-minded, learning to learn, and also of course the international mindedness is a big part of what IB is. And it's actually something that always connects the local values, languages, and culture with the international perspective. So it's not either or, but it's for us, it's both and all of that education then ends up with a diploma or a certificate, which is known by all the best universities in the world. So that's in very shortly what IB is all about.
Great. As you said, you guys are focusing on the inquiry-based learning. Inquiry-based learning is another hype word which is being used extensively these days. In India's national education policy also, it's being used quite many times. But when we look at India, So Indian landscape is still that the schools are focusing on rote learning. Do you think rote learning happens in IB also?
Well, I would not say that, but like with many things are not like black and white. It's good or bad.
Yeah.
I think there are places for some rote learning. Also, there are some things that are good to know by heart, but definitely it is not in any major role in IB schools. It's not, because the basic approach is so different. It's all about the idea to touch that curiosity and exploratory mind of young people, for them to find out themselves, and so it's not the right answer. It's the travel to the right answer. It's kind of figuring it out yourself.
Yeah.
And through that you can talk that it's kind of deep learning, that it becomes part of who you are, your identity, and it stays with you after that. You don't forget it because it's who you are.
Yeah.
And so that's really the approach.
And when we talk about the international mindedness, so IB is present in so many different countries and cultures. So when you teach students international mindedness, are they prepared enough to study in higher education in their own country, in their own culture, or only for the global world?
Yeah, it's a very good question. We are present in 160 countries with more than 6,100 schools. And I think what is important is that the international mindedness is a mindset. And thinking, for example, India. We know that a lot of people who go through the IB path, they remain here in India. They go to Indian universities and to the workforce here in India, but they might still need international mindedness throughout their career, because they have to work in a work space which is universal. And in that you need to understand also different cultures, and then of course India also becoming such a hub of the world, that kind of understanding different cultures becomes important. So there is that option. But of course also for those who want to go abroad, want to study in a different university, look at the world from different perspective, that's the opportunity that IB program and the diploma gives to them. And many young people want to have that chance and maybe come back later, which also happens a lot.
So when I talk to Indian parents, a lot of people who are watching our episodes, so they feel that once the child has studied in IB, so he or she is only supposed to go abroad. They cannot be in India. Is that true?
No, it's not. It's definitely not. And that's not something that we are encouraging or anything like that. It's the choice of the students and the parents that what's the path. And as I said, in India, for example, we know that a lot of IB graduate go to universities here and go to the work world here in India. So definitely that's an option. I would still encourage IB to take that path too.
As we spoke about rote learning, you said that there is a journey where you go from rote learning or the starting point until the inquiry based, then it becomes a part of your life. So do you think exams are a flawed way of measuring intelligence?
No, I think exams can be a good way of measuring intelligence. I think the question is that how do you measure it, and what is it exactly that what you're measuring with assessments, and also that what's the breadth that you're capable of measuring. So the IB way of assessing, first of all, it includes the summative and formative ones. So a lot of IB assessment is something that is a constant dialogue between the teacher and the student. So it's not just end of studies thing. And of course we have kind of portfolio type of elements that happen on the course of the learning, that are also part of IB assessment. And then we have the final exams, but what we are assessing there is a kind of a higher level cognitive skills. So it's not just that you know by heart something and you repeat it, which is often kind of you learn to forget type of an approach, but it's that you have to analyze, you have to be capable of changing what you know to another context. And that's what we are measuring with our assessments. And I think that for that kind of things, we are more talking about assessing the potential of the young people. So and I think that's also what universities are interested in.
A very important thing you said, that exams are not just an end of the semester or end of the year thing. In India, if we talk about exams, if you talk to me also, I have a picture in mind that my exams are starting, so the year is ending and I'm very scared and I'm just getting into the classroom and writing something and probably passing or failing. So that's what the image of exams is in our head.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a kind of there's a deep philosophical question also with that. There's the question that, do we kind of create in the mind of young people also, do we use kind of time and future as a threat, that by that time there's an end time and then you have to kind of deliver, and it's the same of the kind of exams more generally, that or deadlines, that there is so much in the way schools function that therefore I think the educator's ability for the kind of formative education or formative assessment is so important, that it's the constant feedback, and also the feedback for the positive side, which is so important for the motivation.
If I'm a parent watching this, I'm thinking that if IB is saying that memory-based learning is not good in a way, so why are there exams at all in IB, the memory-based exams?
Well, our memory-based exams are really about not just repeating what people kind of what they remember, but it's about applying. It's about that capability to remember what you have learned, but then you are challenged. Are you capable of kind of changing the context and applying it in a different context to a problem that you have not seen before?
Yeah.
So in that sense, the IB exams are different than many national final exams are.
As we spoke about that, the parents and students have a misconception that if they do IB, they'll have to go abroad in India. So can you mention any 3 misconceptions people have about IB?
Well, I think that's one misconception in itself, the question that people think that you have to go abroad. And that's not true. Maybe the other misconception is the question that IB is something that is only for those people who are kind of rich. That it's a kind of an elite.
Is that a misconception?
It is. We have those 6,100 schools in the world, and about half of our schools are public schools. And actually we are very much in many countries right now working with the governments to bring public schools to the IB system, for the reason that we want to also, from the organization side, we have set the target that we want increase access to IB programs, that being successful with that educational model, you don't have to own a lot of money, but it's the question that you're willing and interested on learning that in that way to become knowledgeable, caring, and inquiring young person. So that's definitely something that it's not true. And we are also working, for example, here in India. I was just had that discussion in the Maharaja Ministry of Education, that how could we engage more with the public schools here, and also hopefully through that change that wrong conception that some parents might have.
No, but when I'm in a room with parents and I'm talking to them and we go deep in IB. So in India, the fees which IB schools have is quite a lot as compared to the fees we Indians usually pay in other schools, in CBSE boards or other boards. So isn't it not a misconception that it is only for the elite?
As I said, we have set the target, a strategic target at the IB, that we want to help different nations and of course parents and students to afford to take the IB alternative. And we are finding different ways, partnering with different actors to reach that. I'm kind of want to also ask the question that, because sometimes you are seeing that there is something that is paid for the program, but then you also have the resources that are paid for the tutoring.
Yeah.
And if you put those together, because I do believe that the rigorous IB programs give capabilities to manage without extensive tutoring. So in that sense, kind of you get a lot of value for the money that you're paying for. We are a non-for-profit organization. We are not, of course, getting anything out of this. We are doing it for the mission of the organization, and that's to create a better and more peaceful world through education. But we are also not getting any kind of grants or benefits from governments or any other actor in the world. We are self-financing everything we are doing. So that's why there are fees with IB system. But we are also working to make sure that we can bring those fees to a level that would be affordable for more people.
If that is the case, why are the schools charging so much? Do they require a minimum infrastructure from IB that you have to make these things, then only you will get an IB certification? Or what is there for which the schools have to charge a fee of probably more than 20,000 of Indian rupees per month?
Well, we are not setting the fees.
Okay.
So it's individual schools that do that.
Yeah.
There are certain things that we are requiring from the schools for them to be capable of being in charge of teaching and managing the IB programs, because we want to make sure that the quality is there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, that is a cost, but not a cost that some of the schools are asking from the parents. So it's kind of, it comes from different sources, the need for that high pay.
Do you think school education should be a profitable business model, or it should be a not-for-profit?
It's a good question, and we are not kind of, as IB, as I said, of IB schools, half are private or international schools and the other half are public schools.
Yeah.
We are not taking a stand on that, because it's also based a lot on national legislation. I come from a national background where you cannot make a profit of education.
Okay.
We in Finland, there are some private schools, but they are actually financed through the state budget.
Okay.
And the private foundations and others who are running those schools, they cannot make a profit. It's forbidden in the legislation. And through that, there is the idea that all schools should be good schools. Because if there is a situation that you kind of have very different quality levels of schools, that means that you have good schools, but that means also that you have
bad schools.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think many nations are struggling with, trying to find a way out of that kind of a situation. And it's a very difficult task because parents often feel that the good schools are for my children, so I don't want to let go of those. And so once the kind of a situation is created, it usually sticks in the system.
Now, talking about the teaching part in IB schools. First of all, do IB students need tuitions or there is no need?
Well, of course, it's a decision for the parents and the students to do that. But of course, it's the question that what's the aim? What are you trying to reach? But I would say that the rigorous of IB programs gives qualities for students to manage kind of challenges in a way that might decrease the need for tutoring.
Now, as I said, that let's talk about teaching. In IB schools, do teachers require a degree or is the teaching ability important?
Teaching ability is very central for IB schools because the teachers need to have internalized the inquiry-based way of learning, also the way of teaching kind of large concepts as a basis. It's not starting with the younger ages. It's not so kind of subject based than some other systems are, and that requires the teachers to go through certain amount of training before they are capable of teaching those courses.
Yeah. Do you think IB is the best education system in the world?
I think there are many good education systems in the world. I would say that IB system is very good in doing certain things. It's very good on balancing actually certain tensions, balancing the tension of the local values and the international mindedness. It's also very good in balancing the breadth of learning with the depth of learning, that there are kind of both elements there. And then I think it's very good in not only answering the question that what is education giving to the student, but also enabling the student to understand that what's the world asking from me. So you cannot graduate from IB without going through the service element of doing something good for the community. And that is very important, that you see that you have a task in this world, you have responsibilities in this world. And it's also because so many young people in today's world are suffering with mental health questions and well-being questions, that also seeing that when I'm doing something for somebody else, actually I'm pretty valuable. Actually, there's a meaning in what I'm doing for others, and seeing that we need each other. And that comes back to the discussion we just had about the AI. In that relationship, the AI doesn't need you in anything. But we humans do need each other. And taking this to the very big picture, if we look at many of the questions like climate change, loss of biodiversity, the inequalities in the world, the wars that we are experiencing, those are questions that they require, those will not be solved by AI. you can ask AI that could you please solve the war in the Gulf area? You don't get an answer.
Yeah, it cannot.
Yeah. So it's us humans and all of us that need to solve those problems because they are connected to the way we treat each other.
Yeah.
We look at the world, we consume, and we need to be capable of changing and starting to look the world in a different way. And for that reason, that idea of having the motivation to do things, which is another area where I think IB has some special capabilities, is becoming so important.
So India has a total of approximately 1.5 million schools. And out of that, I think IB has only about 250 to 270. If IB is such a wonderful model, then has IB failed to adapt to India, or is India still not ready for IB?
Excellent question. And I like the idea of that it's a relationship, that it goes both ways.
Yeah.
And that's why we are here. That's why we are having our global conference with 1,200 educators coming together to learn together, so that, of course, we want to have more IB in India in the form of student places, more IB schools, private and public, to support the growth of the biggest population, youth population in the world. But we also are here to have more India in IB, that we want to understand the needs that the Indian society has, these cultural backgrounds, these values, these ancient Indian knowledge systems, what we can learn and include and embed in our programs. That's definitely something that we want to also do, because that enables us to be even more meaningful for Indian students.
When we talk about sports in India, now when we talk about sports in schools, so most of the Indian board schools, whichever board it might be, they don't even get 1 or 2 periods in a week to play sports, because they are only focusing on rote learning and marks, which has been going on for generations. Now, if Indian boards are only 1 or 2 periods in a week for sports, what is IB for sports?
Yeah, we actually, IB schools are often very active in sports. We were just talking about organizing a schools Olympics for IB schools on an annual basis, which kind of shows the commitment that there is. Sport is an element. Of course, there is kind of the way IB works when we're working with public schools, for example, that the IB framework is embedded in the local curriculum. So in public schools, it's the local curriculum actually that determines that what's the amount. But then in IB schools, often there are kind of sport clubs, kind of extracurriculum activities connected to the sports and so on. So I would say that IB schools compare very well with that, and I'm very happy about that. And it's not only sports, but it's also arts and culture, and I'm very happy with that, because again, coming back to the AI question, something that AI is not. AI doesn't have a body. We are bodily creatures, and actually we even know, not just in our brains, but in whole of our body. We need to move, we need to engage with the world. And that's truly, again, one aspect of what it means to be human. And for that reason, I fully support that there is enough physical activities
Yeah.
in school curriculums.
On a lighter note, any 3 things which you can tell about schools which parents don't like to hear?
The parents don't often want to hear what their children are doing in school and how they are doing, and then often actually it's a question that who is the best expert on who, that are the parents the best experts of their children, or are the children the best experts of their parents, and what's the role of the teachers, educators in that that relationship. I think the thing that best educators are capable of doing is to use, also engage the parents in the learning and helping the parents to support the students to reach the learning outcomes. And maybe I hope that this is something that actually parents would like to hear. And it's the question that there are a lot of surveys that tell that one of the strongest correlation for good learning outcomes is with the interest that parents show to their students, their children's schooling.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that you have to know to do the homework for your children.
Yeah.
But it means that you would need to ask that, what happened in school today? What did you learn? Was there something that you didn't like? Be curious. And that has a very strong impact on how students value what they reach in schools. So maybe that is something that some parents don't want to hear, but I hope many would.
Yeah. So now we have the last question before the rapid fire round. So because the world is fascinated by Finland education, if we had to sum up what is Finland education in 1 minute, what would it be?
Well, Finland education model is very equal. It starts with the idea that the closest school is a very good school. So it really takes care of everybody. The Finnish school system is based on trust. It's trust all the way from the national level to the municipalities, who are the providers for schools, to the schools, who can make a lot of their own decisions, and to the teachers, and to the students. So there's that trust that the students aren't afraid of saying that I didn't understand this, or I haven't understood, I haven't really kind of figured out what was meant last week when we're talking about this. Because that's where learning happens. Learning happens in the space of not knowing.
Questioning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in that sense, I would say the trust element is another one. It's a very holistic approach. So it looks at the growth of the whole child, the person, to grow into humanity and become a respectful member of the society, which is stated in the legislation of the compulsory education in Finland.
So we've spoken about very, very interesting and different things now in school education. Now, lastly, we have the rapid fire round. So I'll ask you a question and you have to answer quickly.
All right.
Okay. So marks or skills?
Skills.
Why?
They are something that is essential for young people when they are creating their own learning path and path for the life.
Tuition, helpful or harmful?
Tuition.
Tutoring.
Tutoring.
Yes.
Could be helpful if excessive is harmful.
CBSE or IB?
IB.
Sports or academics?
It's the or is the difficult word here. I would say academics with the kind of critical thinking capabilities.
Are parents over-parenting today?
Some are. I think our culture is. But I think many parents are doing an excellent job with their children.
Is the current education system outdated?
It is challenged to keep with the pace of change that is happening in the world.
So that means it's outdated, right?
I would not say that it's outdated. It's doing many valuable things, but it has a struggle of adjusting with what's going on in the world.
Thank you, Mr. Olli-Pekka. It was a pleasure having you, and love to hear your perspective on so many different things because you played such a huge role in the global school education space.
Thank you so much, and over. Thank you so much for doing what you do. It's so important that we have a podcast who is fully dedicated to the questions of education. Thank you.
Thank you.